Right, guys, and welcome to the Above Average FPL podcast with myself, CY, and Baker, FPL 343. How are you this evening, mate?
Seamless, mate. Nice. Good intro.
Yeah, I haven't practiced it at all.
That's good. I've had better weekends.
Fair enough.
I've had better weekends, but all good. All good. Can't complain.
Can't complain. Good stuff. Yeah, no, my weekend's been alright, apart from my back went out on Friday, so kind of a lazy yesterday. Went for a swim today, feel a lot better, so that's good. Beer in hand, kids have gone out trick-or-treating, they've had fun. Happy days.
Fun times, mate. Fun times.
Guys, just remember to follow the podcast. We are at Above Average FPL on Twitter, and Baker is at Baker FPL 343. The podcasts are available on Spotify, Apple, wherever you get your podcasts from. Make sure you subscribe. You'll get the latest episode directly to your device when we release it, and we also put a tweet out to let you know that it's there. If you want to, the podcast is also available on YouTube, so please go and check out our YouTube channel, which is Above Average FPL. And you can watch us basically do that. There's going to be no fancy graphics or anything like that. You can just listen to us or watch us talk and see how we're reacting to certain things going on during the week, basically. Yeah, hi mum. So yeah, drop us a review. Let us know how we're getting on, and we're always welcome to feedback. So let us know what we're doing right and what we're doing wrong. Twitter Spaces as well. Must remember to say that. So each week we try and do one Twitter Space from both of us. It's normally in the evening, one evening during the week when I'm driving home from work. Unlikely that will be happening on Monday. My car's in a bit of trouble, but if I don't do it on Monday, then we'll jump on some other spaces during the week and we can chat to you then.
Cool.
Sweet. So in terms of what we're going to do today, so we do our normal run through the game weeks, but there's a few topics that we want to talk about. So Baker, I'll let you reel those off.
I mean, what to do with City defence? There's probably spoilers in this that both me and you have a double defence and may have done something already. Yeah. If moving off, do you go in on the Chelsea fullbacks? Should you be taking hits for defenders? It's an age-old thing to say to people, don't take hits for defenders, but is the time now to do so? That second premium. A lot of us, Lukaku is the easy one, sort of diversified a bit. Some people on Kane, a lot of people on Vardy, some people still got Ronaldo, KDB, Mane, Bruno, Son coming in, Ober even, we've seen a few of them. Where do we go? What should we do? A few we looked at, our best enablers at the moment, a lot of good players under 6 million, and where do we go in that place? Double Brentford. I think we all expected us to be there by this weekend, and now what do we need to do? And I suppose we better talk about Tottenham. As me and you, as I said, we've been in a few spaces in the last week, and quite often we get asked, because we're Spurs fans, what do you think about Kane and Son from Gameweek 12? And you're getting them in, and you're like,
yeah, it's hard work. It's hard work to convince. It's hard work to convince yourself, anyway.
Yeah. So, plenty to talk about, mate.
Start with the game week. How did your game week go?
Badly, very, very badly. Really, really badly. Oh, yeah. I mean, mainly, my big issue has been over the last few weeks that I went as P on wildcard because, I wanted that extra nailed-ness. Missed 2 games in the whole of the time that he's played for Tuchel. And he's missed the last 2 games. So good.
Cheers for that.
And whilst doing it, just madness. Chilwell and James is just unbelievable. 84 points between them in the last 3 game weeks.
So mental.
When I think I spent effectively 18 million on Diaz, Cancelo and Aspi on wildcard, they've got 19 points between the 3 of them in the last 3 game weeks, and those 2 have got 84. And James didn't play one of those.
It sounds horrible when you say it like that.
Yeah, it's fine margins in this world, but that one hurts. That one hurts. I'd hate to imagine where. Look, we're 10 weeks in. This is my first bad game week. So I'm on like 38 points all out. Like, it can't be much worse. I went Foster over Ramsdale. If I just chose Ramsdale rather than Foster, I would be dead level maintaining my rank this week, but I didn't. And so it's bad, but bad at the moment is looking like about 11k. Still a fair bit of pain on Jimenez and Hwang to come potentially, but let's say I come out of this 15k. If you'd have offered me going into game week 10, 15k, rip your arm off.
Yeah, exactly.
So take it, move on, and fix things and put myself in the place to do well again.
Fair enough. Myself, it was okay. I captained Salah, as did like everyone. Actually, everyone captained Salah, which was interesting, unsurprising. And then Havertz outscored him, which was nice. So no, I had Havertz and Rafinha, and then I had double Chelsea defence. Only I had Mendy and Rudiger, so absolutely just nothing from them really. A couple of clean sheets. And obviously double City defence was in the mud. Antonio, no hand in 4 goals. Cheers. Jimenez to come though. So I'm still hopeful I can break 50, which would be nice. And I rolled my transfer, so I've got 2 transfers.
Yeah.
I haven't got 2 transfers. I had 2 transfers. I don't have 2 transfers anymore. But 2, I have 2 for this week. So that's where I'm at. And I'm sitting on a small green at the moment, 380. That could go up tomorrow if Jimenez pops off, which would be nice. But we'll wait and see. Anyway, I mean, look, it's my first green arrow since game week 2. So I'm buzzing, to be quite honest. Absolutely buzzing. And you say, fine margins,
It's fine margins, but also it's still well grouped. Like, there's a lot of people that were... other people that you see on Twitter or you interact with, and they were like 30, 40, 50 points behind me, and suddenly they're like 10 or ahead of me. And so it just shows, we talked last week about, although Salah, captaincy might be the way that everyone goes for a little while, there's still the ability to make massive moves, and vice versa, and so you just got to get the right players and go for the more exciting players. I feel like that puts us into a better position, because if we think about it, like James or Aspie, one's a lot more exciting than the other, and that's paid, so it can never really be disappointed in yourself, like if you go red when you played safe, and those that have gone green have done well because they've picked more exciting players. So no regrets, but also loads and loads of opportunity, and you've got 2 free transfers, so you're in a good space going into next week. And I think all of us have got actually quite a bit of bench headache next week, so that's going to be a really interesting one.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I didn't even mention that I had Sarr come off the bench for me because Bumo didn't play, and I left Livramento second on the bench. So first on the bench last week, didn't come on. Second on the bench this week, only 1 came on. Just thought, I agreed with you. We spoke about it, and I agreed with you. I thought Watford would score. And then I thought, well, I'm going to pick him. Well, and it should have been Sarr as well. Unbelievable. So, yeah. It's fine margins. There we go.
Fine margins, mate. Fine margins.
I tell you what, let's just do the pod league quickly before we run into games. So, just do a couple. I mean, just to mention Andrew Johnston, Pepe Pig, who scored 83 points this week. Massive week. He's still got 1 to play. He's still got Damari Gray tomorrow. But yeah, Ramsdale, Reece James, Salah captain, full house of clean sheets at the back, Smith Rowe, Ronaldo, 83 points. Ridiculous.
Unreal. Game week ranked 6,400.
Yeah, mental.
Wow.
And then, and just to mention the guy who's topping our monthly league table, it's Anthony No, with Game of Throw-ins. So he's moved from like 800 and what was it, 880, no, 828k at the start of the month. He's now sitting at 36k, so it's absolutely flying at the moment. He's got Chilwell and James, so
that's it,
shock horror. Shock.
Smith Rowe, Foden, yeah.
Yeah,
Monsters.
loving life. I did well. He only brought in Chilwell this week, so anyway. And then Suvik Mandal with Risk a la carte is topping our main pod league. He's ranked at 1,898, currently sitting on 723 points, just a point ahead of Netflix and Chilwell, which is Tig, on 722. So those guys absolutely smashing it in the top 2K at the moment.
Monsters.
Ridiculous. So,
Yeah.
excuse me. Shout out to those guys. Keep smashing it. Keep smashing it. We're loving it. Cheers. So,
Cheers.
games.
That first one. You know the week's going to go bad for you when it's the first one and it's like I bench the keeper and I've got the striker Vardy against it, and then Arsenal were 2-0 up in like 10 minutes, and I was like, the thing with Arsenal though is that they do that. They're just naturally a defensive team, aren't they? Because the first 20 minutes they were just so in control, like they were just bossing it. Leicester looked terrible, and then they just went, we just do what we do, which is put 10 men behind the ball, let you have it for a bit.
Yeah, it was just before half time the game kind of changed, and then obviously Rodgers made those two changes at half time, and Arsenal kind of sat back and let them attack. I mean, you know, you say about benching Ramsdale, he was unreal, like ridiculous. Unreal. The save from the free kick was quality, and then he just made save after save. Great save from Ademola. From Lookman. Barnes.
The problem with Barnes is he allows this to happen, doesn't he? So, like, if I thought about that Barnes was going to play, I'd go, oh, no. Because whenever Barnes comes on, he just gives keepers saves all day long because he's got no composure, just whacks it at them. I mean, even the people, I saw lots of people talking about the double save. He didn't actually make a double save. He made the first save. Then the second one, actually, Evans hits it off the post. It goes on to Ramsdale. And it's like inches away from what actually would have been a Ramsdale own goal.
Yeah.
Like, talk about fine margins. If that goes 3 inches more over the line, and suddenly it'd have been on 0 pointer at that moment.
Yeah. Crazy.
You know, and then, but fully deserved it. And there is something that I have noticed definitely as being a Ramsdale owner is that, like, it gives it big. You know, there's that picture the other week in like where he's like run 90 yards to get involved in after the goal, and
well, did you see it? Did you see it? Did you see it in the game on Saturday when the crowd? You know when crowds when keepers are taking a goal kick and they go they do the old ooh, you're shit and he basically synced along with it as he kicked it out.
Amazing.
It's hilarious.
He is, you know, he's definitely got some personality about him, and that is kind of when you look at it, you do like keepers with personality. The Emmy you think of old and stuff. It's like definitely shows some confidence, but also that he definitely wants to protect that clean sheet. I mean, I thought I just whinged about Barnes, but I actually felt the way he came out so quickly and so big at him that he just shit himself. Basically, he just didn't know what to do. He was like, oh my god, he's just at it. But yeah, Leicester fully deserved to be 2-0 down at that point. I would say that is they just went ahead of them. It would have been really an interesting game if Leicester had scored, because I don't know when they turn it off Arsenal, how they ever turn it back on again. That's the thing that I always worries me. Probably, well, it doesn't worry me because actually I'd love Arsenal to lose every game, really. But certainly as the sort of Ramsdale owner, well, I won't mention him again, will I?
No.
Had that fun, didn't work out, and well done, Aaron Ramsdale. I mean, Smith Rowe scores again.
Yeah.
There's a lot of players around that price, isn't it? But fact is that he's firmly playing. If you just looked at Smith Rowe's like heat map, if you look at it's just general stats, they're not the type of player you'd want as an asset. I quite like that almost as a player. Like he's a player that if you watch the game, you think he's a good asset. But if you were looking at afterwards, right, he had one shot on goal the whole game. His average position is about 40 yards from goal. Doesn't look like, the type of player that you kind of really want to be looking for when you've got players like Bumo, Cornet, we'll get to, playing virtually number 9. But the fact is that when he does get there, he's got some class about him. And so he's doing very well for those that got him.
It's always, it is about expectation, I guess, from those 5.5 midfielders. I mean, what do you really want or expect from him? And also, I guess, fixtures are going to be a big thing. They've got Liverpool and United away in the next 6, which is obviously going to be, well, I think whether United might be tough, but they've got Watford and Newcastle in there as well, so they've still got good fixtures at the moment, goodish. But they're both at home, so if you want a 5.5 midfielder and you feel comfortable benching him away from home, which you can do. I mean, you can quite comfortably bench a Smith Rowe in 12. There's no problem with that, and you can quite happily take the potential benefit from him in 11 and 13. So I wouldn't be busting a gut I wouldn't hit him in. I wouldn't be busting a gut to get him in. But I mean, if you've got him in, I think you'd be very happy.
Yeah,
I think is where I would sit at the moment.
I saw quite a few people talking about moving like Rafinha into him, and then I watched Rafinha today, and I just thought he was absolutely brilliant. And we'll talk about Leeds later, but the idea of having him over Rafinha doesn't really appeal to me as something that I would do. But yeah, other than that, it's a good clean sheet, but the stats don't suggest it should have been a clean sheet, and I don't know. No, but at the same time, what I would say is if you compare it to sort of seasons gone by, right, and you picked an Emmy or you picked a Pope, right, would you expect? I mean, you quite happily have an Arsenal keeper getting shots pummeled at him if he's keeping cleans, and if he's capable of keeping cleans, because you know that a 6-pointer is more likely going to be an 8, 9, 10-pointer as well. So not having Ramsdale, actually, I'm not nervous about it as such. I'm quite happy having Mendy, because I'm only really going to lose out on the saves, I suppose. And Mendy has, and Chelsea have been, I mean, they played Newcastle obviously this week, so they didn't really get tested too much. But whilst we've said they're a really, really good defence, they've actually their XG, their expected goals conceded is not up there with the best in the league. They've been working hard to keep clean sheets and working hard to win games narrowly and stuff like that. So, Mendy's had to keep him involved. I think the Liverpool game was obviously an example of that right back at the start of the season. I think for Vardy owners, he's definitely going to go from a lot of teams. He's going to go from a lot of teams, but the question is still at the moment, who's putting their hand up? And we'll talk about it, but who's going to put their hand up to take that money? And who do you go down to from Vardy? A lot of people, when you go off these premium-ish strikers, then it can hurt. I saw a lot of people that went like Ronaldo to Tony this week, and cost themselves 10 points, and they've done it. There's a reason. It's that old premium for a reason. They can score in any game. He did have a few nice touches, but it wasn't a lot involved in the actual goal piece. I don't think. You used to think Maddison and Vardy were a really good pair, but I don't actually think Maddison is that great for Vardy at the moment. Like I thought he was really bad, Maddison, and I wasn't surprised when he got taken off. But I just felt like he got in the way a little bit. If anything, he wasn't really looking for him. Nacho looked a bit sloppy as well, I thought at times. I wasn't surprised to see both him and Maddison come off that game. Amarty's just rubbish, so that's why he ends up. He's just not good enough. Like I know he's free. Again, it's that he's 3.9 for a reason. And Luke Thomas that's a lot worse when they've not got Castagna on that left and Pereira on the right. the amount of times the ball went down that left-hand side, and then it was like, what do we do with this here? We're not very good. We're not really going to get it in the bar. Oh, you know, they lost a lot, I thought, from their wing backs. And if you're going to play free at the back, your wing backs have got to do something.
Yeah.
And they didn't. I feel like Luke Thomas was nowhere near good enough for him. But yeah, Arsenal very, very solid. Vardy, I think you probably keep him because it's Leeds. And yeah, then work it out after.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's the feelings on it.
Agreed.
3 o'clock.
3 o'clock. Where do you want to start? You want to start with the big guys?
Let's start with the big guys because we were going to look at. Well, let's start with City then. Let's start with City and Palace because they lost.
Yeah, and I don't. I mean, it didn't flatter. It didn't flatter Palace as well from what I saw of the game. I mean, they hassled very, very well, put City under more pressure, I guess, than they expected. And it was something interesting that Zaha said after the game as well, in that, you know, they're looking to actually keep the ball and actually work with the ball and do more work with the ball rather than more work off the ball, so to speak. And they attack as a group with the ball, and you could see that in their movement. They were winning the ball higher up the pitch. I mean, particularly Gallagher. I mean, the man was all over the place. He was absolutely everywhere.
Monster.
He'd gone off the boil for the last few weeks.
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
In truth,
yeah.
from an FPL point of view, he'd kind of just all sort of faded away into the sunset after his 2 goals early on. But you know, fully deserved his 13 points this week. Yeah,
They're a good team, and they've got lots of good young talent, and they want to work hard. But even when they're not playing the sort of younger lads, you know, MacArthur and Coyote played in centre midfield, you know, and you're like, that's, you know. So on one side you've got De Bruyne and Bernardo, and on the other side you've got Coyote and MacArthur, and the other team wins and stuff. And it just shows is the you know, if your team is working for the coach. Vieira looks like he's just got a lot about him standing on the sideline. It's hard to not ooze from a man that, even for us to say as Spurs fans, but you know, he's a World Cup winner. He's just done it.
Yeah.
A lot. And he's a winner. But more than that, you know, you can't just get somewhere by being a winner. You know, we had Mourinho at Tottenham, and it's not enough. You've actually got to also be looking to coach in a positive way and looking to play in a positive way, and they are. Thought it was very interesting, the red card. But mainly I thought the red card was interesting because I'd watched the Arsenal game, and as a Ramsdale bencher, I did not want Johnny Evans to get sent off when Aubameyang turned him from the long ball. But I was thinking, oh God, that could be a red card, and if it's a red card, then Ramsdale's clean sheet's locked in. And it wasn't, you know, it wasn't given in that game. And then exactly the same thing happens. I mean, if anything, you could say that I think it was Marty was a bit closer to Evans than, say, Diaz was to them. But
there
simply,
wasn't much.
they were going to get through, though. They were going to get through. I don't really like the idea that there's a tussle from a long ball, which they're both involved in, equals a sending off. But I also do see it as well. And I'm like, well, technically, he is the last man, isn't he?
Yeah.
It's one that doesn't ever happen without VAR, I feel. I know that he gave it on the pitch, but I just feel like they're going to do...
Really
and it
felt really quick to give it as well.
Marina's
really
like that, though. Marina does like to make his own decisions, didn't get overruled a lot last season, and it's almost like he knows VAR's going to tell him that, so he'll just do it anyway, and then can't get told, you know, to do something else. But I mean, Laporte was bad, so it's good for Stones. And I think we're all thinking of coming off of City defenders, but the band will be back together in that it'll be Stones and Diaz suddenly again. So underlying numbers are what they are, and they did have 10 men.
Well, Cancelo was still a huge attacking threat. Even, I mean, City were obviously going to still dominate a lot of the ball even afterwards. They are the better team. So and they did for large parts. And Cancelo had chances. He had a couple of big chances as well. I thought as well.
I mean, he's still trying to shoot. He had 3 shots blocked, 1 shot on target, 1 shot off target. I mean, 5 shots from a left back. Like, that's more than like Tottenham having a game. So we love that.
We can't use us as a yardstick for anything.
No, we can't. The one for City for me was De Bruyne. And it's almost like it passed him by as a team and how they were. So I looked at what the difference was that when City played Brighton compared to this game, and I know you could say they're 10 men, but in fact, effectively, he only played 59 minutes and 44 of them, they had 11 men. He played very, very high on the right. In fact, if anything, you put Jesus inside, or Jesus maybe did the work for him a little bit. And he played higher, and then he's just crossing the ball a lot. So he crossed the ball 9 times in that game, and the whole 11 only crossed the ball 8 times against Brighton. So, he's playing 2/3 of a match and crossing 9 times. That's weird almost. And it's like, that doesn't help Foden, I don't think, either. If you've got Foden as number 9, you don't want crosses for him.
No, and I don't feel like generally don't think City and crosses really work.
Jesus, Foden, Grealish, Bernardo, those type of players. You want intricate play. You want to cut people open. You want through balls.
Yeah.
You want crosses. And I'm like, has he got the brief? Has he been just not around and not working with the rest of the team? And I look at it and think, I'd probably play Bernardo and Gundogan at the moment and bring him off the bench if things aren't working out.
Yeah.
It's definitely a concern. It's also not the first time at home after the Southampton game that they've not scored at home. And you're like,
it's an argument not to. Can you trust their attackers?
All the time Foden's playing, you just have to keep him and do what's there. But you wonder every time that they'd have these because they've got these in them, whether suddenly it's like, oh, we'll have 4 changes next time.
Yeah, that's a worry. That's a worry, I guess.
You haven't got the worry if they're playing, but you look at it and you go, why does De Bruyne just walk into the team? Or, and why wouldn't you, if it's not working, just play Gundogan and Mahrez again? And let those type of players come in. Why don't you play Sterling again? Is you can just see him just giving a few things a go again, and it could be some rotation ahead. But if you own your players, just keep playing them until they're not at the moment.
So you were on double City defence?
Double City defence on wildcard. Look, they are still on the underlying stats the best team to have defensively. So I've got no issue with them as defensive assets. The reason why none of us wanted to come off, say, Diaz or Cancelo this week was we think they keep a clean sheet.
Yeah.
But game changes. Is whether it be Trent, whether it be James, whether it be Chilwell, whether it be, even Cancelo, you look at Livramento, anybody else you want to go to that is a fullback at the moment. There's plenty of really good fullbacks, Matt Lowton, Brighton and Burnley, and those type of players. But the point is that there's players that can do both. So you want players that can do both. And Cancelo's having 5 shots in the game. You think, I want Cancelo. That's fine.
Yeah.
Diaz, you look at it and you think, this only works having Diaz if they keep 20 clean sheets. And I look at the next 3 or 4 and think, not so sure. I don't think they'll keep a clean sheet against United. And therefore, whereas we think James or Chilwell, do I think they'll be involved in a goal, one of those 2 this weekend? I do.
Yeah.
So I would absolutely advocate anyone going off Diaz to James or Chilwell. At this point, disclaimer: made any transfers this week?
Yeah, I've gone from Diaz to James. Yeah,
I've gone from Diaz to James.
Nice.
So, yeah. So,
well, at least we practice what we preach, at least.
well, we are chasing points on that one because I do think that Chilwell is the better asset of the two of them. So we're moving now into the older Chelsea Newcastle, I suppose, in that world. I do think probably longer term, Chilwell is the better asset. We have missed a lot of Chilwell points, and Chilwell is expensive now.
Yeah.
Is probably by the time anyone listens to this, he's 6.0. I don't think he went up last night, but he's probably going up tonight. So he's a 6.0. Whereas James feels like a 5.5 that you can still get at like 5.6, or you could do if you went yesterday, get at 5.6. Even at 5.7, you feel like this is cheap. And so I'm like, do this now. I mean, Chilwell was 50% owned in the top 10K last week. And I suspect he's going to be 60, 65, 70 come this week. So therefore, his price rises will slow down a little. But I think we'll probably end up going both, will we? And there is a question of do you just hit them in? But I don't think I would hit both of them in this week. You?
I can't. I physically can't. Anyway, so because I've got Rudiger and I've got Mendy. So
would you go Rudiger to Chilwell?
Possibly. I'm not going to, not this week, but possibly. I had to make a move to get James in because I had too many Chelsea, so I had to take a Chelsea out to get a Chelsea in. So I mean, it's quite obvious what I've done there. What I've done there.
Is Havertz gone?
Havertz is gone, yeah.
Before Burnley?
Yeah.
Wow. I mean, that shows you then how much people want Chelsea fullbacks when you already had two Chelsea defence, but kind of proper defence in Rudiger and Mendy, your non-attacking defence, and that you prioritised a fullback to lose an attacking midfielder who's technically playing the number 9 at the moment. I mean, that really just shows you just how much we have to have Chelsea fullbacks as it stands right now.
Yeah, at least one anyway. So
blimey.
At least
who's Havertz gone for?
Foden.
Wow, so doubled up. So you've moved away from double defence to 1-1 and moved to triple currently Chelsea defence this weekend.
Which we should have done in game week 8 or whatever anyway.
Yeah, we probably
really. Yeah. So
it just shows about attacking the fixtures, though, doesn't it? It does show about attacking the fixtures because.
Don't get onto attacking the fixtures, mate, because I'm gonna nullify that in about 10 minutes time.
But look, 2 weeks ago, Tuchel was saying he doesn't trust James.
Yeah.
Now we're all on him. We were saying we had the conversation with Tom Stevenson the last few weeks ago, and he was umming and ahhing of can I take James out before Norwich? This is one of the Hall of Fame number 2, one of the best ever. And he feels like almost like he'd made a mistake on that 2 weeks ago. And we're now in the position where it's like we're so jealous of him and everybody else that's, done really well off of James' points in the last 2 weeks. That's the big, when you're scrolling through Twitter at the moment, it's like, I'm over the moon, or you had James, or you're not, because you didn't.
Yeah.
And that's really the big difference for everyone. So I think it is worth it. In terms of the game, so Havertz, you've taken out, despite the fact that he did get a little assist for you. So
he got a little assist, yeah. I mean, he found himself in a box and danced around Darlow. I mean, he did. I just was expecting more over the last 2 weeks, and he just felt I wanted more from him over the last 2 weeks, and he didn't give me what I wanted, so I binned him, basically. I mean, he had a few shots this week. We had a couple of shots this week, which is better than last week. At least he was partially involved, and his heat map's a lot better. He's got a lot more He's spending a lot more time, around the box, and I wondered whether, Kovacic being out might help him. Thinking that Ruben Loftus-Cheek would play, but he didn't, or he didn't start. But again, Kante quite similar. He likes to drive with the ball, and so it felt like the game was closer to Havertz immediately. So I was expecting a little bit more from him. I didn't watch it, but I was quite disappointed they weren't winning from an FPL perspective. Obviously, before they did. To be honest, I mean, it took 2 ridiculous goals as well.
Well, Newcastle set up very, very defensively. I mean, what you said there, interestingly, is that I just checked average positions for touching the ball, and James's average position for touching the ball was higher than Havertz. Now they play out from the back, so like, how often do you just take a short pass out from the back, and he's still taking the ball eventually, on an average position higher than Havertz. I mean. So I don't think that's a defensive move, you going from Havertz to James. If anything, say at the moment it's probably a higher goal scoring opportunity.
Yeah, I mean, like Reece James was generally higher up than Callum Hudson-Odoi.
Yeah.
That tells you everything.
Incredible. I do think if Hudson-Odoi does stay in the team for a little bit, and I think he probably will, because I thought he was good again. I feel like he can get in the way a little bit of Chilwell, potentially. So as much as Chilwell's been brilliant, I feel like he potentially has the ability to get in the way of Chilwell. Sort of similar to we saw a bit like with the Pogba-ish in front of Luke Shaw type thing at the start of the season, or those type of players where it's like, oh, I could actually offload to you and you're going to get involved in it instead. Whereas I just felt like where it had like Ziyech, where it's Mount, they basically just all come in. So therefore, James just had that right side to himself. So it made me feel like, despite the fact that Chilwell scored a lot more recently, that James probably is the one likelier to really get in the box on that right-hand side. Newcastle just set up to just try and nullify it and did a good job for a period of time, but they're just too good. So good. Like the last 15, 20 minutes, the way they just moved the ball around and kept it, they just stifle you for so long that eventually you can't do no more.
Yeah, and it is really what I said. I don't think we can really talk about them too much until we see what they want to do in the transfer market. But even then, I think this season's going to be a real challenge for them. Like, I mean, they're turning on some good fixtures now, Newcastle, in truth.
Yeah.
So, Leeds, Brentford and Norwich at home in the next 6. They are all must-wins, I would say.
Yeah.
For them. So, if you were worried about strikers, I mean, Callum Wilson wouldn't be the worst.
Definitely on my radar.
Yeah.
Definitely on my radar.
Given the fixtures at the moment.
Yeah. I'm looking at potentially something that could involve maybe Vardy down to Wilson.
Yeah.
And then gives me the extra money to then bring another premium in some kind, somewhere in the same.
Yeah.
That is definitely on the cards. But as much as it's good for a very short time, it then starts getting a bit worse again.
That's because they're Newcastle and they're not very good.
And exactly that's the problem, isn't it? And you're like, realistically, how many goals is going to get me every week? So you want to see something.
It does turn bad. It does turn bad quite quickly, doesn't it? Actually,
it does turn, like, you think
Liverpool, City, United,
and then it goes really bad, and you're like, do I really want to bank this man in who might get 1 goal a game for 3 games, and then I'm taking him out? And
these forwards, no one's really doing much up front at the moment. They're kind of taking turns. Like Antonio's kind of come to the end, but he's sort of cooled off a little bit. And no one's really sort of taken it up. And Vardy was on a hot streak. Everyone brought him in. He's quietened down. Hwang's like 3 goals and something. I mean, he's still all right at the moment. Tony, everyone's jumping on, but he's not doing anything. Kane, bin.
Well, let's move on to Tony then, shall we? Get back on the old fixture.
Yeah.
Tony, but let's talk about the other striker, because he is a personal favourite of yours.
Talk about Chris
for the
Wood.
last 5 years or so, I've had to put up with you of sending me stickers of Chris Wood saying, "Please Tottenham sign Chris Wood." So yeah, Burnley, Brentford.
Mate, what would you pay right now for Harry Kane to make a run off the shoulder of a centre back and then fire one in from the edge of the box like that?
What a finish that was as well. He's not very good, that Fernandes, though, is he? The reserve keeper for Brentford.
No, it doesn't appear that way. No, but it wasn't the first time, and he almost got the assist for Cornet as well, which I'm trying to work out. I gave him the benefit of the doubt and said he actually meant to head it on to Cornet rather than try and score from there, which I think would have been ambitious. But again, it was exactly the same, making a run off the shoulder and getting a ball in from deep, down that channel. Proper old-fashioned, that is. Proper old-fashioned, ball down the channel to the striker who's running in between centre-backs.
Lovely. I mean,
just really nice to see.
I mean, we all thought we were talking about Bumo and Tony in this, and obviously then Bumo doesn't make it, and then Tony does very little. But we've talked about Cornet before, but Cornet and Wood, they're a proper partnership.
Yeah.
Proper partnership.
I think that will suit him. The little like the sort of the traditional sort of player that Wood is, and then the flair that goes along with Cornet.
He runs some really good lines, Cornet, and just people just don't pick him up. He just seems to manage to find space all the time. That one for his goal just peels off so well, and it's like, I'll back myself and top bins.
He's still an unknown quantity, really. Though there's not much. I mean, there's obviously videos and stuff like that to watch of him, but he's obviously adapting to the Premier League as well, which he's done so far fantastically. Coming off after 60 minutes, though, I mean, is there a question still on his fitness right now?
I think that's
exactly. Or is it just rotation?
Where I was going to go with it.
It's just his fitness, maybe. Because he was pulled off injured, wasn't it, though? No, but he was pulled off injured, wasn't he? Because he came on. Didn't he come on, score twice?
Scored that first one,
or
great
once,
one.
Yeah, and then came straight back off injured as well. So I don't know whether he's still carrying something from that, or whether it's just the fitness of the getting up to speed with the Premier League and Dyche is kind of weaning him in. Which, to be honest, I think given his quality so far, I think Burnley fans are quite happy to see him play for an hour, and then get him off the pitch, rest him up for it. And they were winning, right? They were smashing them as well. So it was 3-0.
I think the thing is, what you have to remember though, that is, so last season I had Vidra for a little bit, and because he was just cheap and was getting in as the foil for Chris Wood. And we've all had one, whether it was Ashley Barnes or whether it was Jay Rodriguez. At some point, we've all had the foil for Chris Wood. And Dyche does like to do that. And he has got the ability to do that. He's got different forwards he could bring in to replace those ones. It is very common. I can speak from the Vidra experience, was that I was literally used to count that 59th minute so often to see, whether he'll get there. But someone was always warming up come 55 minutes on. So it could be that one that does come off continually. I think we do want to see it. It's a worry. And then you've got the, thing that the AFCON will come up in 10 weeks time or something like that. It's a long time though, 10 weeks, and that, but he's really got to stand out and be the outstanding one for him. But what a player, it really just shows that, you can do good recruitment with not a huge amount of money.
What the hell is he doing at Burnley?
But just fit it in really quickly, plays in a magnificent way. And Taylor and Loughton, as real cheap defenders, I've said before, but Charlie Taylor seems to find a way every single time into my team, both with an assist, Loughton with a goal. Yeah. Brentford's a worry, suddenly.
Immediately, yeah. I mean, I think... I mean, get Chelsea out of the way this week, Burnley, and their fixtures turn quite nice, quite favourable.
Yeah.
They really do.
What about most of us have got Tony or Bumo. I've got Tony. Have you got both?
Bumo. No, I haven't got Tony.
I know they've got Norwich this week, but would you bring a second one in this week?
No. No.
It's a no.
No. And
We now need to see, what happens with a keeper going missing.
Yeah, there is that.
We need to see it.
It shouldn't really impact what they do higher up the pitch, though. I mean, that was it earlier on in the season when they were playing Wolves. Wolves was the game, right? They literally pinned Wolves back. I mean, that's not really because the keeper's different as such. Shouldn't be.
Yeah, but the thing is that, so go back to the Leicester-Arsenal game. I'm not saying Schmeichel was a bad keeper, but they let 2 goals in the first 10 minutes. Arsenal then just went, stuff that. I'm just going to shut up shop now.
Yeah.
And then they didn't score, and if keepers are bad, what they can do is, although they might not change the attacking play, they can completely change the pressure, the way the game goes if they concede that early goal. And that's kind of what happened in this is they concede that early goal and it's like suddenly all the confidence is with the home team, with the home crowd, all the nervousness is on them. And then before they know it, they're 3-0 down. And then, look, they get one back, but it's gone. The game has gone for them. And they just frantically, they did a triple substitution and, try to get something out of the game. It's a keeper giving a goal away early just completely changes the mental side of the rest of it for everybody. Yeah. So it could have a big impact. And I think we kind of want to see it. And do we really want 2 Brentford players?
No.
We're not struggling for money, a lot of us, and we're not in terms of our budgets for them. Do we need to have 11 million invested in 2 startable assets? And will we every week going, oh, which one do I bench if I've got both?
Yeah.
I think
we should be fine.
I think if you've got both, you just stay with it because it's Norwich. If you haven't, I think you just stay with one.
Yeah, you give them another week and see what happens next week.
Liverpool Brighton, that's a surprise, wasn't it?
A little bit. Especially after they went 2-0 up.
Especially after they went 2-0 up. But I can't say they didn't deserve it.
I thought Trossard was very good. Very busy.
He was very in the Mopé role as well, wasn't it? It was the way he kept himself quite busy and where.
Yeah.
So I saw someone do some analysis about the fact of he took this place up between the defence and the strikers. I do think there is something there that Konate and Van Dijk are brand new. Even Matip, when they're there, they are quite. I'm big and I'll stand there and I'll just be better than you when you come at me.
Yeah.
But what they do then allow is that if Fabinho is not in front of them, then there's this little hole where no one's really picking up the runner in front of those 2 at the back, and you can just start giving yourself a bit of a, I'll get the ball and I'll go at them. And I felt that's what Trossard did to them.
Lallana as well was doing it exactly the same.
Lallana did the same.
Yeah.
And then they just want to try and play through you now. And then I thought they got in really, really well. They could have scored right at the very start. Was it March? I think had the shot at the start, and Alisson pulled off. Do you know what?
Yeah.
What anyone else would call a completely world-class save, but for Alisson, it was just like, just save that.
Oh, it was ridiculous. Yeah. How quick did he get down to that?
How quickly down to his left? Down
to his left, just
strong hand.
Yeah, it was March, definitely.
It wasn't much different to the Ronaldo versus Lloris one, but it was like, boom, just off like it was nothing and see you later. Couldn't do much about the Mwepo one, though.
No. I just completely took him by surprise, obviously.
Yeah.
With great finish.
Surprise. I don't know that they can carry on with like a midfield 3 all the time. As good as they are attacking wise, when you play something like Ox, Henderson, Jones across the middle, it's not enough for me. You need somebody that's going to actually want to just sit in there and be on the ball. Even if it's Thiago that's the one that's going to go, do you know what, I'm going to just control the game. Those 3 are just all action. And it was just Brighton are a well-coached team. Did very, very well. So fair play them.
Yeah.
Fair
Would you be
play
looking at?
them.
Would you be looking at any at Brighton now they've got City and Liverpool out of the way?
Trossard's a good punt this weekend. Trossard's a good punt this weekend. You know, is for those that were thinking someone like Bumo for this weekend at Norwich, I quite like the Trossard punt home to Newcastle.
Could even get away 2 weeks. Leeds as well, a week after at home.
Yep.
Crossed my mind yesterday.
Yeah, definitely good punt. You've got Villa in between that as well. I think you've got as well.
Oh yeah, sorry, I'm a week ahead, aren't I? Du-du-du-du.
Yeah, Newcastle, Villa.
Sorry, yeah, Newcastle, Villa, Leeds. Yes.
Yeah, and then away to West Ham after. But I think that he's a good punt. You can still see though if he does play that Mopay role a bit longer. If it's not working out after 60 odd minutes, he's the one that comes off.
Yeah.
And that's
McAllister will just step in, won't he?
Yeah. Covered City, Palace, covered Chelsea, Newcastle, Watford, Southampton. I took out Armstrong. I played Foster. I got some luck with Livramento off the bench, but I mean, I got lucky that Foster got 2 points really, because how Southampton didn't score 3 or 4, Armstrong and Adams were great.
Yeah.
It was like that first game, wasn't it? When Armstrong put one in the top corner, and we were all like, "Oh, hello, this is a pair." That's interesting, especially because a lot of people just gone on Brozier. I think Brozier does come back in, but you shouldn't forget that Adams has been there a long time now with Ralph. Like he's been there for the whole time with Ings as his foil. There's come a time where he's like, I'm the man now. Yeah. It does look like as well, I thought Walker Peters, he got all 3 bonus, had a good game at left back, which feels like if he's doing well at left back and Livramento's doing well at right back, suddenly they're just a much better defensive outlet. He's becoming very, very difficult to bench.
Their numbers were good earlier on in the season as well. It wasn't like they were putting up bad numbers. They were facing teams with high XG and not conceding many. So yeah, I've got him in my team at the moment.
Here's the decision
for next week.
A lot of us are going to face this decision. If you've got Chelsea defenders, you're going to play them.
Yeah,
yes?
I know what you're going to ask me.
If you've got Trent, you're going to play them.
Which I don't.
Anyone that has.
Yeah.
But if you did, you would.
Yeah.
You know I'm going with this.
Yeah.
Cancelo or Livramento?
Yeah.
Where you at?
I've got Cancelo in there at the moment.
I've got Livramento in at the moment.
He still offers... Look, Cancelo still offers a massive attacking threat, and there's two things that need to happen here this week for Pep. I mean, they needed a reaction first and foremost. He's going to demand a clean sheet. He's absolutely going to demand a clean sheet, and he's going to say like Liverpool went out 2 weeks ago and smashed this lot. Now, fine, they went and got a result against Tottenham. Tottenham are useless. Don't read too much into that. Go out there and beat them. And it depends on how United set up. I think United won't set up the same way they did against Liverpool. Not a chance. No. So yeah, at the moment, Cancelo, but
is Antonio home to Liverpool. Bear in mind, which is in from Liverpool. Antonio home to Liverpool over Cancelo or Livramento?
Well, I've got Antonio on my bench at the moment, but I've got Antonio and Livramento on my bench.
Blimey.
But actually, I mean, that's the thing. I've got Jesus. Like, do I have a Jesus against United? Surely.
You got Jesus and Foden.
Yeah.
Double City attack.
Yeah.
Away at United.
Yeah.
Which looked great a week ago, didn't it? Looked great after the Liverpool game. That sounds exactly like what you want. But they're almost certain. I guess the thing is, you'd almost be certain that they'll play the three at the back for United, and then Pep knows that, and then he's thinking about how do I counteract that? He kind of almost knows what they're going to do. Yeah, it's a big decision, I think, this week, because I think most are going to be between those three players for a man for a bench, because I think we'll all think we're going to play our Brentford guys. I don't see many not playing Rafinha now this week.
Yeah, agreed.
That would have played him. So I can see that most people are going to have something like Cancelo, who was about 60% owned last week. Can't see him being below 50 because everyone will take Diaz out of anyone, but I don't think many people will take out Cancelo. Antonio was 85% owned. Livramento was about 40% owned. I don't really see big number changes in that this week. Maybe Antonio goes down to about 70, maybe. But there's a big choice there between the three of them as to who goes on the bench. And certainly if you're putting two of them on the bench, it's some big choices. So for me at the moment, I'm going to go Cancelo. But
fair enough. There's a lot of time. I mean, it's Sunday evening, so we've got plenty of time.
Good point. Where else? Tottenham United. Talking to Tottenham United. Talking to a three at the back United masterclass. We've got to talk about Tottenham. It's funny, isn't it? Because I said earlier I don't want to talk about Tottenham, and then it was like we probably should talk about Tottenham because there will be some people that listen to us that.
And then someone messaged us and says, "Can't wait for you to hear your guys' thoughts on Tottenham."
Well, so I don't think that Nuno's gone yet as we talk. We are 9:45 on Sunday evening, but he might be gone by the time you listen to this. Matt Law reported earlier, that's a tier 1 journo, as you call it, it's a very reliable source that it's likely to happen. Romano's text or message since, not text, like he's telling us.
just got him on there.
Yeah. On my phone, innit? Got Romano on my phone. But
here we go.
Has tweeted out saying that it could take hours. There's a fall. How must it be if you're the manager and you're not involved in the conversation, just sitting at home, and you see Romano saying everyone's in there talking about you? But I'm expecting he's to be gone, and it makes sense because you've got this week and then you've got the 2 weeks of international break to be able to go. Whatever you're going to do, you're going to do. So I think from a Tottenham perspective, you got to keep yourself open. That's my thoughts on it, is keep yourself open to it. I don't see anything at the moment that says to me I'd want to go to Kane. Anything in the world that would suggest to me I want to go to Kane. I do see things that still say to me that Son is the one there if you're going somewhere. Shouldn't forget that around this time last season, he suddenly stopped scoring.
Yeah.
And that's not the first time that that's happened, where he then goes on a run of 8 or 9 games and doesn't produce. So would be lovely to see him produce something, even if it's just in Europe against Vitesse this week. That would be useful. But yeah, I think people should still be thinking Son's a good option for me. I think people should not be thinking Kane. You? Don't care, do you?
I really have no thoughts about it. I was so angry in the manner that we lost the game yesterday that it's weird because last season I used the term disillusioned at one point after, I think it was probably February time, when everything started to, basically the wheels started to fall off, and I said I was actually disillusioned with Tottenham for the first time in my life. I actually just didn't care, which felt really, really strange. And and like yesterday felt the same. I just didn't care. It was just horrible. Like United just came off the back of a 5-0 mauling to Liverpool, and fine. Liverpool are the best attacking team in the league. Blah blah blah. Mo Salah's the best player in the world. Blah blah blah. But you're at home, and you've got an opportunity to basically do something, and then to not have a single shot on target since the first half of the West Ham game, quite frankly, is a complete embarrassment. And I don't want to turn this into a Tottenham pod or anything like that, but it's just miserable. There's nothing right now. Right now, if things don't change, like I'm definitely talking about Nuno, really. If things don't change, I mean, then I'm quite happy to take on whatever ownership they have. I couldn't give a shit if they were 150% owned. I'll take on that ownership gladly, and chance my arm with any one of like it. Like there's just no impotence. There's no impetus. Jesus Christ! There's no impetus at all in the side. No. There's no intensity. There's nothing. It's just everything is slow.
Yeah.
If you get a chance, I'll retweet it. But I've already retweeted a thread about how Tottenham have basically declined over the last 4 seasons. And it's not just visibly. I mean, I tell you what. I'll summarise it. Under Poch, we were good to watch, and we were effective. Under Mourinho, for large periods, we were shit to watch, but we were effective.
Yeah.
Under Nuno, we're shit to watch and we're ineffective. It's literally just gone in that order, and that's where we're at now. That's where we're at. I mean, I wouldn't trust. From an asset point of view, I wouldn't trust them right now.
And the big thing that I would take when you're looking forward from an FPL perspective, it's very easy for people to say they're not having any shots on target. They're not, they're boring or whatever they are. In the last 2 games, they've averaged over 60% possession. They, if you take other stats in the game, they had as many big chances as Man United in that game. They had 10 corners compared to Man United's 1 in the game.
Don't start on corners. You were the one that told me that only 3% of goals come from corners.
It's true. But what I'm saying is you can use stats to do stuff and say stuff. But what actually is happening is Tottenham are having a lot of ball. If you watch the Match of the Day highlights, for example, of the Tottenham Man United game, it's mostly Tottenham. It's not mostly Man United. It's just 3 goals in Man United's world. What teams are managing to do is know, if I just put enough people in the right places, they won't score. And that's literally all that Solskjaer had to do was go, if I just play 3 defenders, and then I'll play 2 defenders outside those as well, and then I'll play the 2 in defensive midfield, and then I'll put 2 up top. They're 70 years old between them, but they're really good at finishing. At some point, Tottenham will do stupid stuff and we'll get those chances. And they did stupid stuff. All 3 goals were just bad defence. The Rashford one in particular, at the end, he's just sort of like hanging around, like, you can't see me, can you? I'm just standing here offside, and then I'll just walk on side, second offside, just pass through, and I'll just go through and score. They're just sort of standing around, and just nobody's marking him. Same, Ben Davies' error. The marking from Dion Romero was just appalling for the second one. Teams know, is that all they've got to do is sit in, and at some point, Tottenham will offer up chances. So when the fixtures, as it stands at the moment, when the fixtures get easier, teams are going to sit in even more against those ones.
Yeah.
So I don't necessarily at the moment think there's a way in which you can have any of them, but I do think is that it'll change by tomorrow, and it'll change in a week, and it'll change in 2 weeks, it'll change in 3 weeks. From a mentality point of view, Son still looks interested, and we're interested in him, and the fans are invested in Son. The fans were booing Harry Kane.
Yeah.
Actually booing a player. So if you were someone new coming in, actually, in a way, the best way you can get the fans on really quickly at the moment is probably drop Harry Kane at the moment.
Yeah.
So I definitely would not recommend to anybody moving their Vardy money if they were coming off him into Kane. If anything, you look back to Ronaldo and say, maybe that's where I go now. Just get in
So
now.
what's Kane now? Like 11-8 or something?
11-8,
11-8,
11-7 maybe.
11-9. Ronaldo came down to like 12-4, didn't he? 12-3, 12-4?
I think so.
Yeah.
He is 12-4 and 12-1.
Kane.
Kane's still 12-1.
I'm sure I heard last week he was like 11-9. That's... Anyway. By the by, he's still 11.9 million or 12.1 million too expensive.
Don't go there.
No.
So no Kane. Maybe the money goes on Son. If it doesn't get any better, Ronaldo away to Watford in 12 might be the play.
Yep. I like
might
it.
Easily be the play.
I like it. My midfield is still... I've got lots of these 6 to 8 millions, and I'm like, well, actually, I need to sacrifice. I need to get an enabler in there that's just going to sit and do nothing. I need a Brownhill. I need a Bissouma. I need someone like that. I was looking at Bissouma, to be fair, now that he's back. So, today's games?
Can't take Rafinha out. If anyone thinks they can take Rafinha out, you just got to take the pain of the fact that he's always injured or nearly injured, because he's just brilliant. So just...
It's still bad, though. The Leeds are still bad.
They are bad. But if anything, you don't have to worry about, anybody else taking the bonus, defenders taking the bonus, or any of that stuff, because they're going to concede every game, and he's going to have to score every game, and they're going to have to work him really, really hard every game. I mean, from set plays, they're just appalling. Yeah. So keep playing him. I don't think you go to Rodrigo, despite the fact that he scored. I know there's a lot of 6 million ones out there, but he always gets booked as well. I think he's only... If he gets another booking, he gets a ban. Now he's on 4 bookings. So if Bamford's not back soon, and he gets a booking in the next game, then potentially they play Tottenham in 12 with no Rodrigo and Bamford, unless Bamford comes back. But surely Bamford must come back relatively soon. But yeah,
I mean, Rafinha, he'll start to pop even more when Bamford's back, because Leeds are just they just look like a spent force without him up there. They really do.
But Rafinha, they got Leicester at home this week. Leicester can't defend, so fantastic. Would you bring him in though?
Who? Rafinha? No, I wouldn't bring him in, because and I'd probably avoid him until... Well, I probably want to make a decision after 12, because no, when's international break?
Another international break. Yeah.
After 11 is the international break, isn't it? So I'd want to wait until after 12 probably to do that, because we're going to be in the same... We're all going to be on flight radar again.
Yep, he's in the squad. He's off again.
Look, where do they play in?
Let's not go looking at it.
Let's do it. Where are they?
I don't want to know.
Oh, it's Spurs, isn't it? As you said.
Oh yeah.
Oh right, so you can land in Biggin Hill, no problem.
Oh god.
Just
again.
Just take the M25 North Circular.
It's the last game on the Sunday though.
Yeah, so it gives him...
Yeah, he's fine. He's fine.
Should be okay.
He's fine. No issues. You're right, though. I probably wouldn't bring him in. If I didn't have him. But I've been looking at him thinking that he looks like the easy one that you think, oh, he could be the one that goes to Son or something like that. And you're like, I'd rather have Rafinha at the moment than Son in a dysfunctional Leeds than a dysfunctional Tottenham. That's a big one. I can see a lot of people that are going to go in 12, Rafinha to Son. and use money, say, from Vardy to it, and then Tottenham play Leeds. Could work out well. Could work out well.
Oh, God, how late are we? God, it's only
Tired.
Mate, I'm
late.
tired. My nose, I don't know whether everyone's watching, I'm just wiping the bottom of my nose. Just nose is just running. My eyes are like watery, like anything. I look smashed.
You do look quite smashed,
I look absolutely
actually.
smashed.
But you've been on the tenants, mate.
Oh, now we've got to talk about West Ham smashing it as well.
They're pretty good, West Ham, aren't they?
They're quite good, yeah.
How good is Declan Rice? Like, it really irritates me how good he is. He's so good.
I think he stepped up though. I think he stepped up a level.
I think he's more than stepped up. I think he's probably the best defensive midfielder in the world.
He's up there now. I wouldn't have said this. I wouldn't have said this 12 months ago. But
what doesn't he do?
He was, yeah. I mean, he was excellent last week. He controls the midfield. He can score. Well, it wasn't a worldie, but it was a decent strike. Scores goals. Marshals the midfield. Defensive midfielder.
Even took a decent free kick.
Yeah.
And he's just an absolutely class act.
It's like you said. It's like you said. You feel like just United just need to sign him, don't they?
And Souček, to be fair to him, like what a ridiculous honest pro. Because there's a lot of players where they've had some goal scoring runs and stuff, and then that gets to their head and they're there. But like he's just gone. Okay, Rice will take the left side. I'll take the right side. We'll just sit there. You ain't coming past. Forgive the fact that I'm only going to get chances at corners. Not gonna do any of that stuff that I was doing, like running into the 6-yard box. I'll just play disciplined. Moyes is so underrated as a manager. Like he got them working so well.
I saw something on Twitter. There was a tweet that just said, if David Moyes hadn't already been manager of Manchester United, they'd be wanting him as manager of Manchester United right now.
Yep. I saw another tweet that said, what kind of world is it where David Moyes wouldn't go to Tottenham as manager? That's the world we're in. He ain't going to leave there and go to Tottenham. No chance.
No.
They're a very, very good team. We talked up Ben Johnson, I think last week or week before, and said, we think that he might keep Kufal out. Another brilliant display.
Scored.
Scored. Kufal's a good player, and there's so many good defensive players out there at the moment that maybe on wildcard I'd be thinking maybe I could just go someone like him. But who's got wildcard left? So it's one to keep an eye on, I think, with him. Benrahma gets an assist, but again comes off just after 60 minutes. How many times last season did we talk about the three behind the striker come off between 60 and 70, 80 minutes? Benrahma came off, Fornals came off, Bowen came off. I do think, I know Antonio didn't score, and he actually did a lot of work for the team today. He did the assist to the assister twice. I actually felt it really didn't help him going down to 10 men.
Yeah.
Really didn't help him. But I do think is that Jared Bowen, in the role that he played, and I thought about what Trossard did before, he could cause Liverpool some problems this week, Jared Bowen. They could both cause Liverpool some problems this week. So, yeah, they're just a really good team. I don't think Antonio's your issue. That no one needs to be taken out of their teams this week.
No, it was had I not been looking to make those changes at the back, I might have moved off Antonio. And I think actually, despite what you're saying now, I think that this week would have been enough for me to move off him. To be fair, I'd probably have also needed Tony. If Tony had scored, there's a lot of things that needed to change actually for me to make this decision. If City had kept a clean sheet and Tony had scored, Antonio probably would have gone for my team regardless of if he'd returned. If he'd have gone off, then I'd have had to. If he'd have popped off, I mean, I would have had to make a decision. But I was looking at him to Tony as the move, but
yeah,
he's gonna sit in my side for a bit now.
I think Jimenez. You've got Jimenez already, so you're in that good position. But I do look at it at the moment and think, if Jimenez as well has a good performance tomorrow night, he could easily become where a lot of Antonios go to. So, as a man that doesn't own Jimenez, I hope it's a very, very quiet Monday. But I do think that you look around them and you think, I'm not sure. But Jimenez, he just feels like quite comforting, doesn't he? He feels very similar to Antonio in a way of, he's that man. He might do a lot of work for the team sometimes and not always get goals, but ultimately, he's their man.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's the games. Covered City, covered Chelsea. Second premium, we talked about, like, where do we go that money? We've talked about, and literally, like, I'm not really talking positively of any of them really at the moment, are we? We're thinking maybe we go back to Ronaldo, maybe it's Son. Yeah.
And the thing is that fixture run is so good for United. I can't rule out. I say I can't rule out Bruno. I can't believe that we're instantly dismissing Mane again. Like, over and over and over, we dismiss him.
Yep. And if you do get to a point, I feel like if Salah keeps scoring, then and keeps being the place where we're just going to perma-captain him, it does make Mane almost in a strange way more attractive because it does give you that differential way of doing it. I do think, though, that what happens with Mane is we always then look at those next couple of fixtures for so-and-so, and we go there instead, and I think that's probably how it will continue. And I suspect when a lot of us probably should go to Mane, we'll go to Son, and then I think we'll come off Son and go to Ronaldo very quickly because Tottenham are not very good. Or we go back to Bruno. If they keep playing 3-5-2, could be all right for him. I mean, he's still very creatively involved, just not scoring. But yeah, cool.
So you've made the one transfer so far.
I've only got one. So
you've only got one. Okay.
Yeah, I haven't got that luxury, mate. So as far as it stands, that's me done. But there's Europe, so kind of almost want an injury that then says do some stuff and make some more moves from it. But I just want it in a
well, that's it, because and I was triple, so triple City, triple Chelsea. So I had to move one in to get one out. So it was a case of Havertz became James and Diaz became Foden, basically.
Good moves.
I'm happy enough. It's difficult. It's difficult. It doesn't feel very like me. It's very sort of anti-me, actually, doing that kind of move. Although as exactly like me, just bringing them in after they've hauled. That's exactly what I like to do.
We all like chasing points.
Love that. So and that's why I was thinking of, like, as I say, my midfield is in a place where I can't stretch back to these premiums. If I went in my midfield to like a Bissouma or Brownhill, and then in my front line to a Gerhardt or a Brozier or something like that, and could free up the money, or if even Jimenez was Hwang, for example, I could probably move back to a premium. And I mean, I'm sitting here with no Trent at the moment as well, so it's just I've still got some money in the bank at the moment as well. Obviously, I don't want to spend any more this week because I've obviously made 2 transfers already, but I've got 1.7 million in the bank still.
Yeah, I think now you've got that Chelsea sort of foothold type thing. I suspect what will happen is you'll end up looking at Rudiger now and saying, whereas you wouldn't necessarily go from Rudiger to one of the fullbacks. I think a natural progression is that you go get another one in. I think that's almost a better way. And then when you then move, you go, okay, actually, I've got the money now. I'll go Rudiger to Trent.
Yeah. But it does, yes. But that's exactly what I need to do. Is I need to downgrade a Saar, basically. Yeah. Because I could do Saar to... I was even thinking like that, thinking Salah to Smith Rowe, and then
You'll get it. You'll get it.
get there
soon
in
enough.
the end. But then I
Yeah.
wouldn't be able to get to Son. Not that I really want Tottenham players, but
We'll find a way. We'll get there. We will get there. Right. Well,
before we go, last thing. So we've obviously done a little name change. Just feel it's a bit punchier, a bit cleaner, a bit sharper.
I mean, we already had it, really. That's the stupid thing.
It was in the Twitter handle.
It's what our Twitter was, and it was like, oh, actually.
It kind of works. So, and what I did a couple of weeks ago, or maybe 3 weeks ago now, some people may not have noticed, is I actually put a poll on Twitter and asked people what their favourite console was. So, with that in mind, we're going to do a little bit of a giveaway, but only to people that are listening to the podcast or watching on YouTube. Feel free to share it and tell your friends about it, but all that will mean is that more people will be involved, which means less chance for you to win. However, we are going to ask you to do one thing. So, what we've got available is we've got an Xbox Game Pass for 3 months, or we've got PSN credit, basically PlayStation Network credit for £50. So, you can choose, or the winner will choose what they want, one of each. They'll choose
one or the other.
One or the other. That's what I'm trying to say. They'll choose one or the other. But all you have to do is retweet the podcast episode, this week, and then we'll do draw next week, basically. I'll close it on the same as the deadline Friday 6:30 UK time, so we'll close it then. But what you have to do is you have to retweet the podcast episode. Do that, you're in the draw automatically. Okay.
Cool.
Beauty of this one, because it's Xbox Game Pass and because it's PlayStation credit, doesn't matter where you are in the world. If you win it, you win it. And I can send it to you really, really easily. I can just scratch off the code. I can show you the code, whatever else. I've got them both here, sitting and waiting just for you.
Can we just specify it's retweet from the pod account? Because, we like to plug the old account, and I like to quote tweet and say plug this or plug that. So if you retweet mine, we might have to try and work it out or do those things. But if you retweet, so just retweet the pod account.
Retweet the podcast account. It's always there, the same format every time. The two footballs, new podcast episode. It'll be the Gameweek 10 review. Retweet that. Get yourself in the hat for a little something before Christmas. Why not?
Lovely. Pleasure, mate. Relaxing week. We've done our transfers. That's it now.
Beautiful. Spaces. That's all that's left.
I mean, we haven't discussed whether... This is bad, isn't it? Can you imagine an episode where we don't discuss captain at all? We've not even discussed it.
Why? Why would we?
Wow. We're not even taking that on. We'll leave that to other people.
Reece James.
It's going to happen. I can see it. It's going to happen.
It's going to be some tears next week for sure.
Reece James.
We'll see.
I've got Reece James and Aspie. I could do like Captain Reece and Vice Aspie.
Amazing.
I won't. I'll be captain in Salah, just so you know.
Fair enough.
Standards. Right.
Catch you later, mate.
Good week. See you later, mate.
Cheers.